I've been lost at sea for the past 11 years. Can you help me, stranger?
You don't look like you've been gone that long, though.
What advancements have been made?
Let's see, Elon Musk put a car in space, former reality stars, now the US president, and people are wearing Crocs unironically, which is kinda weird.
That's not what I mean at all. No. What's the progress on the new Raconteurs album?
Oh, that just came out.
Oh! Great! Awesome! I'm gonna go listen. On MySpace. What's up everyone, welcome back to ARTV. My name is John and it's time for a review that I've been very anxious to do for quite some time now, not just because the album was announced more than 6 months ago, but also it could have something to do with the fact that this group haven't put out a record in more than a decade. That's right, it's time for a review of the third studio album by The Raconteurs, an alternative rock band that are fronted by Jack White and Brendan Benson. The Raconteurs, however you pronounce their band name, one thing that I think we can all agree on is that it's been a long time since we got new music from these guys. I fell in love from their debut album Broken Boy Soldiers, so many tracks on there from Yellow Sun to Level, of course Steady As She Goes, probably one of my favorite songs of all time, have kept me on the line for years. They put out a really solid follow-up pretty quickly hot on the heels of Broken Boy Soldiers that was called Consolers of the Lonely, and finally after that album turned 10, the Raconteurs awoke from their dormancy. They announced a reissue of that record and that 2 new songs were finally coming down the pipeline. Those were Sunday Driver and Now That You're Gone. They came out at the tail end of 2018 and I love both of them. They're so expressive, so much fun, they feel timeless, and I'm so stoked to be talking about Help a Stranger. Jack White has stayed extremely busy over the past decade, so part of my mind was telling me, worry a bit. Is it gonna sound too much like the White Stripes, or too much like his solo stuff, or too much like the Dead Weather, or maybe one of the other guys is gonna bring an outside influence to it, and maybe it's just gonna be totally different. You never know with the reunion. I always get a little bit worried and in my head about it, but the Raconteurs kind of quelled my fears immediately with the release of those singles. What a weight off my shoulders, I'm sure what a weight off of theirs. It seems like they're really gelling well together. There's a lot of creativity packed in here, from the lyrical content to the music to the overall tone to the overall cohesion of this. The band up to this point had put out a shorter record, a longer record. I always felt that they needed to find a middleman, something to keep them a little bit more grounded, and they found their focus on Help a Stranger. I love the first 2 LPs, don't get me wrong, but one was about 33 minutes, the other was about 55, maybe could have had some fat trimmed. This one is coming right at us at 42 minutes, and it's a perfect length with great performances. The shrieking guitars that we've come to appreciate from Jack White are kind of spliced throughout. There's also some underrated drum performances that I feel were quite stellar from Patrick Keeler. They kind of met what the songs needed, but also even did a little bit more. It wasn't just something that felt so standard, and I feel that it's kind of even improved from the past. The guitar moments, the lyrics, the vocals all come together to make a very entertaining project from top to bottom. The number one positive thing that I can say about Help a Stranger by the Raconteurs is that it feels timeless. This music honestly takes influences from the 60s, from the 70s, and even some 2000s and 90s garaginess, and they blend it all together, and it doesn't come out as a homogenized sound. It comes out just sounding expressive. You can feel the joy bleeding from some of these tracks like Sunday Driver, and even the little bit of sarcasm and anger that's oozing out of tracks like What's Yours Is Mine. It's fun to listen to, it's engaging, it's occasionally emotional, and even when they shift gears, it's never such a drastic change that I'm like, oh my god, they just dropped an anchor on our heads, what do I do with this? It's never too sharp of a turn. Here comes the Sunday Driver to kick us off for the tracklist breakdown. Sunday Driver is an enthralling listen. It's something that to me keeps me entertained. It keeps my ear pulled to it, not only because it's fun, but because you feel engaged. You want to pay attention to every little note. This is going to go down as one of my favorite songs of the year, if not my favorite song of 2019. I cannot stop playing it. There's genuinely not a low point or a dipping off section where I feel that this record loses steam or it stops having fun or being engaging or having some sort of heart or emotion or interaction to it. I feel that there's always an inertia here, and that's met right away. Bored and Raised, well, obviously a play on the phrase born and raised, opens us off here, and I feel that this track in particular stood out to me because of the vocal harmonies. That's something that I think a lot of people forget about with the Raconteurs, but Brendan and Jack play off of each other so well, and here on this track in particular, I find myself coming back to it over and over again just for that. Help Me Stranger, not Help Us Stranger, the track on the album, has a nice sample that opens it up before really kicking into it. I dig the smooth acoustic guitars on this one. That's something that I could honestly compliment for the entire LP where they choose to interject them. It always feels like something that's a nice differentiation between the electrics, between the drums, between the bass. There's always nice moments where they let off the gas pedal like that, and Help Me Stranger is one that is going down better and better each time. We move into Only Child after that, and this one definitely connected for me. It's something that just kind of smacks you in the head with this story. It feels like a prodigal son, somebody that really nobody wants after some point in time. And as we go on this journey with them, I love how the music kind of swells surrounding that. We get the laid back guitar in places, but we also get the other instruments creeping in, and the vocals on this track are just piercing. They connect to your soul. Changing the tide for just a moment here to get to some criticisms that I do have with a few of the tracks. I feel that some of them can get irritating with repeated listens. Live a Lie is one of those. I genuinely do appreciate this track musically. It hits me with these guitars. I really appreciate the rocking energy there, but that's not all a song has to have in order for it to be good. I feel that the lyrics here are underwritten, and even the music, it just kind of stalls out. It keeps building up. It seems like maybe it's going to go somewhere, and then it's over before you can even blink your eyes twice. Also, I did give a mention to the 60s and 70s influences that I felt creeping into certain parts of the Raconteurs, what they are to their core, and of course they did cover the Donovan song that's called Hey Jip, dig the slowness for Help Us Stranger. I feel that this cover is nice. It's a good effort, and it's fun for the Raconteurs. They add a little bit of extra tempo to the tune, but I really do prefer the original. Tenacious rockers get us back on track and standing tall. Don't Bother Me, and towards the end of this record, What's Yours Is Mine, exude a different type of attitude, and I love when they get a little bit sassy, a little bit sarcastic. Damn, Jack White really breaking it out on us here. Kind of like with Bored and Raised playing on Born and Raised, we get a double entendre with the title that I really appreciate. It's something that just feels smart. The way that Don't Bother Me gets things done. Don't Bother Me could be taken as Don't Bother Me with This, as he lists off things, and I love Jack's vocals on this one, absolutely orgasmic. But as he lists things off, it could be Don't Bother Me as in like leave me alone, but also Don't Bother Me as in it don't bother me, it doesn't get to me. What's Yours Is Mine meets a similar fate, and I honestly feel that this is the most White Stripes leaning moment that we get on the entire LP. It's something that stood out to me in a very good way. The drumming here is fantastic, the guitars are very sharp, and the lyrics, in addition to everything else that I've just mentioned, really jump off the page to me. They feel aggressive, but not too aggressive that it's overbearing. The middle of this album really hits a sweet spot as well. Shine the Light on Me, and Some Days I Don't Feel Like Trying definitely have some greatness in them. The latter of those in particular, I really dig the fact that it does have those harmonies stacked up again, and the second half of the song, it shifts completely, and it takes a song that felt pessimistic and flips it on its head and says, hey, let's look at the bright side here. I'm still alive. To properly close things out, we're going to talk about the closing track that I am very excited to talk about. It's called Thoughts and Prayers, and this moment here is something that I thought was going to be different than what it actually is. I thought maybe it was going to be more on-the-nose political commentary, obviously everybody offering thoughts and prayers every time a horrible tragedy happens. I thought maybe it would mock it just a bit more, but I think I love that they didn't go for the very obvious thing here. There are some correlations that can be made to politics, but honestly, it takes a step back. It reflects on the sins of childhood, things that have been stained upon our life, and the way that Jack and Brendan in particular play together on this track and really just make something so intricate, so warm and detailed, and the fact that this song has a fucking amazing fiddle breakdown. Where did that come from? I am left in suspense every time, and I rock out so hard when that kicks in. And then the end of this track, it's so good. It brings everything back together. There's references to Only Child, there's callbacks here. It's a great summation, and honestly, it's one of the best album closers, if not the best album closer that I've heard in 2019. That's it, guys. We've made it to the end of our journey that's been 11 years in the making. The Raconteurs' new record, Help Us Stranger, is out now. Click the link in the description to go give that a stream. As far as a rating goes, I'm giving this a light 4.5 because, yes, I feel it is that good. Anyways, join the discussion down below. Let me know your thoughts on Help Us Stranger or the Raconteurs in general in the comments section. Please drop a like on this review. A like goes a long way, and subscribe for the love of music.